Welcome to Calm Your Crazy. I'm Kiana Lambert, and I don't really have a plan for tonight's podcast or tomorrow's podcast. I wanted to touch on something briefly, and it may not be that brief depending on how it goes, but I have a lot of people reaching out for help, and they are trying to shift their reality and change their circumstances, and they're desperate. And I get that, and I get the challenge, and I get the frustration. And I offer the free course that I have, which is a very good foundation. It's a video course that I teach, and if that's all you followed and you did that daily, it would work for you. But so many people don't want to do the course. They want to speak to me directly, and I cannot help. I can offer information. I'm an activator. I'll activate your knowing if you are ready. If that frequency is ready and you're ready to hear it and feel it, it's going to activate. If not, it is not going to. And the things that everybody is experiencing is part of the challenge. It's part of the simulation. It's part of your story that you set up for yourself so that you could have this experience. And so many people want the pain to stop. They want the fear to stop. They want the nervous system dysregulation to stop. And I get it, and I understand that. And you have to do the work. You absolutely have to do the work because it is possible. There is nothing that I can do to take that away from anybody. There is zero amount of safety in somebody else saving you. There is zero amount of safety in someone else saving you. Your brain needs to see that you can do it, or else you will never be able to accomplish what you're setting out to do. The struggle is training. The struggle is part of it. If you do not learn with your struggle, then you do not learn. If somebody takes the struggle from you, you don't learn. So you've got to get to a point where you are surrendering to the fact that you are going to have to put in the work. And what the work is being consistent and disciplined in loving on yourself. Yeah. So many people beat themselves up because that is what they saw their parents do. That's what they heard. That's how they felt like they had to be successful, is punish themselves, because that's the generation that we come from. And our ancestors or our parents or whatever, that's what they come from. But negative reinforcement has a 0% effective rate, which means that it doesn't work. And we do it all the time. So when I say that you have to be 100% committed and disciplined and loving on yourself, you have to be 100% committed to catching those thoughts when they come in, because that is the loving on yourself. It is when you slip up and you go into old habits and you do things anyway, and you are hijacked, and then you come back to self and you notice, or whatever, or you feel like you can't control it. It's loving yourself anyway. Giving yourself compassion anyway, being your biggest cheerleader anyway. It means getting up in the morning and speaking the kind words to yourself, bolstering yourself up during the day out loud in your own frequency. It's visualizing and taking action towards things that you want. It's taking control of your fear and not letting the rumination continue. It's feeling the feelings that are causing the rumination to begin with. They're heavy feelings. They're hard feelings. Sitting in the body is hard. Regulating the nervous system is hard, but that is all the work. And it is infinitely better and infinitely more successful if you like yourself, if you love yourself. It is difficult. It is not easy, especially when you have a lot of shame and guilt that's been ingrained in you your entire life. It's not easy. If it was, it wouldn't be the hard level now, would it? If you're on the hard level, it's not easy, but it can be. If you're listening to this, it can be easy. I have gotten to the stage where it is easy. I don't have to consistently look in the mirror every day and bolster myself up every single day. No. I feel good. I talk to myself most of the time. I'm aware of my patterns. And I love myself in real time because that's how habitual it's gotten. That's how I move throughout my day. And if something doesn't feel good, I will sit there with it. And I will let it come up, whatever it wants to. I'll speak to myself. I'll speak to my body. If my body doesn't feel good, I speak to it for healing. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's easy because it's just part of me now. The neural pathways in my brain have been very well built because I use them. The old pathways of negativity, low frequency, and being stuck without processing and moving through, they're gone. They've been dismantled. I can see how far I've come and how hard it was in the beginning. And then I got to this stage where, I could feel the old pulling at me, but then the new was an option. So I chose the new way to react. I chose the new way to feel. And then over time, I could literally feel the good and then the old way becoming fainter and fainter as an option. Until now, I don't even feel the old way as an option anymore. It's not even there. I would go into these spirals and have the rumination and do all those things. And now I don't even have that. It's not even something that occurs to me anymore. So it gets better. It gets easier. It gets wonderful, but you've got to choose it, and you've got to choose you every single day. Every single day. One thing I still struggle with is the self-love. Seriously. And there's no amount of looking in the mirror or whatever else that is going to change some of the triggers that come up for you every time you're doing something. So if you're doing something that matters to you, that's going to challenge your nervous system, it's going to bring the things up. It's going to bring it up. And so it doesn't matter if I conquer, one goal that I have. It doesn't matter if I conquer another goal that I have. As soon as I hit another marker, it still triggers something inside me because I'm doing it again and it's new and my nervous system is trying to keep me safe. So it's throwing that doubt in the way because that's what it associates with this challenge. And I still have to struggle with it. It's gotten easier and easier, but it's still there. And I believe that it will be there and it will get better to the point where it isn't there for most things. And I feel like people want the easy way. They want the quick way. And it's like, if you had the ability to do it that way, which you can, you would have to have this brain power, willpower so strong that you wouldn't even be listening to this right now because you would be there already. So if you haven't gotten there, it's because you have to do the work. You have to feel the feelings. The only way that I got to this point is not just the affirmations and the body work and the self-love. I had to grieve. I had to feel. I had to go through shock of reliving and finding out things about my childhood. I had to go through some serious shock of how I let people treat me, how I let family treat me, how I did so much just to try to feel safe, how I burned myself out, my nervous system, and just overcompensated with everything, just trying to feel safe because of my childhood. I had to grieve and come to so many realizations. It was so hard. And so many people are avoiding this, and I get it. I do. But you cannot expect what you want whenever you don't do the work, whenever you don't go through it. And a lot of people are like, I don't dwell in this and I don't dwell in the past. That's all well and fine. It is. If it's not something that bothers you or comes up, then it doesn't apply to you. But if you're feeling stuck, then it hasn't worked. If you feel like you're not able to move forward, then it's not working. Avoiding it, saying I don't dwell on the past and all this stuff, there's obviously something there that's keeping you from moving forward, and it's unconscious. It's your subconscious programming. I don't tell people go into your past and grieve and do all this stuff because it feels good. I tell people that because I avoided all of it myself, did everything externally, and nothing worked. And it was only until I felt it that I was able to touch everything else that I wanted to feel and discover who I am. That was the only way, was through it. And if you read about any theology and any person who has come to the realizations that I have, or similar ones, it is through their suffering, through their own grief, through their own pain, where they discovered everything. So the simulation isn't just about conquering your fear in the physical, it's conquering your fear of yourself, of the pain. And it's a fire, it's a process. And not everybody can make it through the other side. I know it's difficult. That's part of why I do what I do, so that people can make it to the other side, because it's definitely possible. There's just no magic pill. You have to be consistent in the way that you treat yourself and what you think, and processing old wounds. There's no way around it. Not if you really want to do this. I mean, there's no wrong way. So if you don't have trouble with any of it, then it doesn't apply. But if you're having trouble and you're feeling stuck, then you need to figure out what's keeping you stuck. And there are so many levels to this. I mean, once you heal your nervous system, you are really connected to yourself. You are just floating through every day like on a whole different level. Your world, your perception, the level of the simulation completely changes. I mean, I don't even function the same way. I don't look at things the same way. I don't even feel the same way, which is the point that I want everyone to get to. Yes, there's things to be stressed about. Yes, there are things to have anxiety about, but we can control them. I don't care what psychology says. Yeah, you have the right to feel the way you want to feel, blah, 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 but you can control it. You don't have to be swept along by the river. You can just float. You don't have to be stressed out. You can choose whether or not you're gonna be stressed out. The simulation and society and everything that's happening at this point is the pressure point before everything good explodes on the other side. And everybody's going through this pressuring point right now so that they will awaken, because like I said, it's not easy. And it is through hardship that people awaken. And you can control it. You can make things in your life change. You can walk throughout the day completely different. In my community right now, there's a couple of people that I've really noticed the difference, because there is a difference. When you're in what they call 3D and when you're in 5D, which is just the term for different dimensional frequencies. But whenever you're out in public, you have this sort of 5D detached awareness of what's going on, and you're seeing all these patterns, and your brain is in this state. When you're in the simulation, you're in that 3D brainwave state, and you're interacting, and you're bogged down with, answering emails and all this stuff, and there's this distinct difference. And people are awakening to this stage, and they're awakening to who they really are and how it works. And over time, everybody is going to be in this stage. And it's purposeful for the simulation and the story arc of humankind in this age. In any case, you have to do the work, and you have to love yourself and believe, and then you'll start going through the levels. And the levels being, healing your nervous system, and then actually walking through life with everything happening for you. And your level becoming more about what you want to create and what's standing in the way of that creation versus all the minutia that's happening. I've got to remind myself to pay things. I have most of it on auto pay, and so I don't have to worry about hardly anything. It's all just set up for automation, because I just want to spend most of my time creating, experiencing. Experiencing is a big one. I spent the first half of my life learning. Super learning, like perpetual student. And I'm at the point now where I know how everything works. I've done so much education. I had my NDE. I can look at something. If you give me the components and tell me how they work, I can assemble them and put them together. My brain is huge, and it takes a lot of energy and power. And I learned everything, and now I want to experience. And I'm not gussing myself up, but even if I was, more power to me if I wanted to. I'm simply stating a fact. I cannot watch television. I cannot watch even documentaries anymore. I can't do anything. Because none of it, it's all like, I already know. So now I have to experience it on the other side. So the latter half of my life is going to be about physical experiences. And that's what I focus on. It's actually just that part. And people are like, you don't focus on the money, and you don't focus on all this stuff. And I don't, honestly, because it comes when it needs to. I create it when it needs to, and I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on me and focus on what I want to create and what feels good in the moment. The focus on the money and all that stuff is still very much in survival mode thing. And whenever you understand how everything works, you kind of just move through life. Everything's just going to come up for you. It's going to work out any way, shape, or form. So I don't really worry about it. I worry more about providing value. So I want to give back, because everybody is me, just from a different point of consciousness. So I want to make sure that what I'm giving is valuable. And the money will follow. I'll be taken care of all the time. I'm not even worried about it. The more people can change and live and shift their reality and grow, that's what I am more concerned with. Money is a huge thing, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I want to focus on. I have always been a big believer in doing what you love first and then the money comes. So I don't chase the dollar. I have before. I've made the money, but I also worked really, really hard for it. And I'm not, that's old ways, not the new ways of doing things. So there is that. That is the 3D stuff and the 5D stuff. And I say it like that, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way. I just, there's so much connotation behind different spiritual things. And so I hate using those words because there's just so much association with them. But they delineate what I'm trying to get across because people are so familiar with them, so I use them. But one thing that makes me very sad, I don't know if anybody else gets here. Honestly, I haven't met anybody else that has my level of consciousness. But one thing that makes me really sad is the loss of magic. When because my association with things scientifically is not magical at all. It's very scholastic. And for me, scholastic does not equal magic. Although it is very magical. It is. It's just, in this dimension, it's not very magical in my mind because it's like science is the foundation for it for me. And for me, magic was more like, ooh, the unexplained. Now I know it's not unexplained anymore, so it doesn't have the magic. Even in other dimensions where it is magic, where it looks like magic, it behaves like magic, it's still you, the observer, creating it. So same rules apply. And it takes the fun out of some of it for me. But, I commanded myself to show myself reality and how everything worked, or I wasn't going to come back. And sure enough, died and saw all of it. And now I know. I'm kind of wondering if I requested too much. Bit off more than I can chew, maybe? I don't know. One thing I can say is, once you reach this level, there's not a whole lot that's new. So, whenever something surprises you, it's often a very big treat. And I like to be surprised. I would like to find out something new. I watch the news, of course, and that's like a whole story in itself, which I don't watch that often, but there's all that whole reality and story going on. And then you can scroll through social media, which I don't do very often, and everybody's just creating their little realities and displaying them for everyone else to interact with and see. It's like rudimentary reality interaction on a different micro scale. And you just kind of watch. You watch what's happening. And everything's just kind of already been done, seen, known. The only thing that makes me actually really happy still, it's not a surprise, but cymatic frequencies, talking about sound and frequency is very, if the Yellow Brick Road had a feeling, that would be it. Another thing that gets really interesting is kind of following the story arc of humanity and seeing things as they come up in history. So the way that it works is when you focus on something, you pay attention to it, you're tuning into that frequency and it creates it in your reality. So I've been interested in the very obvious abrupt ends and patterns. So the way that patterns work is they'll play themselves out and then a new one will start. But lately I've seen abrupt patterns in humanity's history, and there's a mystery there. and there's not a congruence. There is a disconnect in the linear way that it's put together, and so that for me has driven my curiosity, and because of that I see more things that have to do with it, but I'm actually just creating them so that I can have something to pique my interest in the storyline. So if you didn't understand what I was saying, there's not a whole lot that surprises me anymore. I still enjoy cymatic frequencies and sound, and now I'm applying that to humanity's story arc because there's a very obvious way that cymatic frequencies and sounds are being used in the creation of the landscape of the planet. Especially when you look at LiDAR scans for history and all that stuff. So there's something there that there's this pattern that I'm interested in. And because it piqued my interest, and it piqued my interest because it's on the same frequency that I'm tuning into. I'm tuning into this frequency. It piqued my interest. Now, the simulation, the matrix, me, is going to create things for me to continue to experience because I've focused my energy there. So it's piqued my interest, I focus my energy there, and then I start to see more of it. So I'm seeing more history, I'm seeing more videos, other creators showing different landscapes. And it's not so much about the content that I consume, but there is a frequency that's in every single thing that comes up, and it pings my frequency. So when I watch things, it's not about what is being said, it's about the message that's in it that comes through. And it's not like it's different than what is being said. It's the way that it's being said, and it pings my specific frequency that frequency is into. So it makes me connect a pattern. So the pattern that I'm connecting is assisted by whatever I watch. It lends me the information that I need to complete the puzzle that I'm working on outside of whatever video this is. The video is just part of it. It's a puzzle. And when you are connected to your consciousness and actively playing the game, the simulation game, you get very sensitive to this type of frequency matches, and you notice when things come out and for you. And if you can file that away, then you can map your patterns and form the pictures from the different pieces of information you're providing for yourself. So if you're not familiar, you create your own reality. It is a reflection of you, and whatever you want, whatever you focus on, you receive. And you create more of it for you to experience. So in this instance, I am creating more historical things to come up to show me because I've piqued my own interest in the abrupt pattern endings that I'm seeing throughout the landscape of the earth. So I'm curious, and my curiosity is a frequency that my brain is tuning into, and so everything that comes up is matching to that frequency so that I can find more things to fit my pattern to create whatever outcome or conclusion that I come to. It's hard to wrap your brain around, but you're creating reality. It's just, I don't know how else to explain it other than that. I've tried to break it down to where, I break it down scientifically with your frequency of emotion and your subconscious programming, and everything's data. But you do. And I guess since we're kind of just like open-ended on this podcast and kind of just talking about whatever, or I am, us. But somebody was asking me to talk about astrology because there's a very obvious correlation to some people of human traits that they see in other people or themselves, and then astrologically those traits that come up with different signs or whatever. And I want to say, first of all, there's so many different astrology charts and the way that things have been looked at. And I want to say too that this is just something that somebody made up at some point to describe human behavior and connect it to the stars so that we could find a way to explain things to ourselves in what we are creating in this reality. So somebody made that up to explain what they were tuning into. They got interested in something, it piqued their interest, they put energy towards it by focusing into it. Their brain tuned into that frequency, and then boom, they started thinking of astrology and explaining this. Whenever I read astrological things, I fit every marker. I was every single one of them. So I didn't feel like they held much truth because I didn't realize at the time how different I was. But when I read anything to do with astrology, I encompassed every single one of those traits. Like there wasn't a time where I didn't encompass one of those traits. And so I didn't really associate with them. I associated a lot stronger with my behavior as far as like a Cancer behavior. I tend to mirror some of those behaviors where you expand and then contract if you get hurt or whatever. But you know what? I haven't met a human who didn't contract when they got hurt, so I feel like it's still bullshit. And people can come for me as far as the astrology goes because it's really something that they thrive on, and that's okay. Like, whatever works for you, different strokes for different folks. And what I encourage people to do is, are you adopting somebody's belief, or is it something you've experienced yourself? So always take what you need, glean what you need, and leave what you don't. And don't just adopt the whole thing on blind faith, because it may work and it may not work. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on it. So there's different layers, right? But it's a simulation. Everything is data and it's code. It's a quantum computer, so it's code. And the astrology is code. It's code, and it makes a difference. It does. Because not everybody is me. I was born in a specific way, and it's code. And it's like a Fibonacci sequence. It's code, but there's never going to be one that's going to be the same. So, yes, you're seeing different traits, but it's code. Somebody's going to be born with some or all those traits, and some other ones too, but there's going to be some that are stronger because of the code. And I can say that it's because somebody thought of this and so many people adopted it that it became part of the simulation's code. So it's not like it was pre-existing, it was created. So it's a blank canvas until somebody creates something. Somebody created this whole astrology thing. Other people bought into it. It grew over time. Now it's like a real thing. And the more that people believe in it, the more energy is housed in that area, which provides the energy it needs to be solid in this physical reality. So somebody just made it up and flew with it, and it's part of it, because over time it just gained more strength. But other than that, that's just the code. And it's because it was created. I know it sounds crazy. Like, listen, I know what I sound like, and I just don't know what to tell you. This is just what I saw when I died, and it's pretty straightforward. It's a quantum simulation, and inside of it there is rules to this reality that we are experiencing, and those rules are all based on somebody's observation. It just compounds and grows over time. So we had Newtonian physics, and now we have quantum physics, and it's because somebody comes along and they make an observation that changes, and then we change and we evolve. But there was never anything there until it was observed by somebody in the beginning. Like if Newton wasn't sitting under the tree and thinking and tuned into that frequency and then figured out gravity with the apple falling, we wouldn't be here in some ways. Eventually, another Newton would have come out if Newton hadn't figured that out. Somebody else would have. because that's just the nature of evolution. But anyway, I know what it sounds like. And you know what I do? I console myself by saying that every single person that felt this way, thought this way, or had something new to say was always considered cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and executed most of the time for what they believed in. And then look where they are now. So I don't really care about look where I am now in the future. I just care about now. And most of it, all this stuff doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't make a difference in how you make your coffee. You know, it is what it is. That's why I'm like, you get to the point where it's just kind of boring. You're like, I know how that works. I know how this works. And what do? The only thing left to do is have a physical experience, which is what you came down here to do. And in that physical experience, the only difference between observation and actually physically experiencing it is the emotion. So I have come back to square one. And that's the 0 point sum. That's what happens when you go to infinity and come back. So it's quite lonely, I'll tell you that much. But at the same time, you don't really want it any other way. And then when you meet other people, you know you're meeting other versions of you, and it makes you very curious about what you're doing, thinking, and feeling. So it makes a difference. You're not that lonely anymore because you prefer it this way, because you know the alternative is going back into the sim. But every time you meet somebody, you can be like literally give yourself love and compassion, and that's an opportunity for that. So be kind to everybody you meet, because it's literally giving yourself the energy. I mean, they've measured it. It releases good hormones whenever you're good to other people, and that's because you're being good to yourself, you know. So that's what I think about whenever I meet other people. I'm like, oh, you're another version of me. Like, what are you doing? What are you learning? It all goes into the quantum field. It's very interesting. Anyway, I am done rambling. That was a lot of information and a lot of stuff in one episode. But do the work. Learn how reality works if you're curious. But at the end of the day, doing the work and changing yourself and loving yourself is the only thing that's going to make a difference in what you experience. So I gave you the ramblings of a conscious awareness person that has seen it all and come back to 0 point sum. And now I'm human again, just trying to have an experience. So everything that you think you want is just right back where you are right now. So have a good week, and I will catch you next time. Hopefully a little more organized and with something more to share. Maybe a little teaching. We've got to do a nervous system one. You guys really need it. I'm getting a lot of requests for nervous system stuff. So it is your gateway to consciousness. So I will break down and do very detailed nervous system one next week. But for now, do the positive talk. Love on yourself. That is the foundation for everything you try to do, because you're the one that's doing it. So do the Cool Whip. Love you, mean it. Bye.